Hello everyone, my name is Chris and welcome back to another game review. Today I'm gonna be reviewing Max Payne 3 and as usual I'm quickly gonna go through the story of this game to tell you in short what this game is all about. Then I'm gonna share my own opinions and thoughts about this game, so in case you didn't play it, one big spoiler alert across the screen, and yeah, just click away from this video to avoid spoilers and come back after you play a game if you want to, guys. If you don't want to, you don't have to, it's totally fine. But if you really are interested in my opinions and thoughts about this game right now, then stay with me till the end of this video and let's get started. Alright guys, Max Payne 3 is a third-person action shooter that was released in 2012. It was developed by Rockstar Games, it was developed in Rockstar Advanced Game Engine, and this is a sequel to first two Max Payne games that I, by the way, played and reviewed on my channel, so you can go and check them out anytime if you want to, guys. If you don't want to, you don't have to, it's totally okay. Anyway, story of Max Payne 3 once again puts you in the shoes of Max Payne, our legendary protagonist that we play with through the entire trilogy, and this time he decides to move to São Paulo, Brazil to start a new life and forget the old one. So he gets a job as a private security where he's supposed to protect this rich family, and things get ugly really quickly right at the beginning of the game when wife of the boss that he's working for gets kidnapped and kidnappers want to exchange money for her life, and he agrees to do that, but things don't really go as planned and eventually she ends up dead. Together with the boss, and Max realizes that he was betrayed and the family that he was working for was betrayed by someone. As the game goes on, he realizes that the traitor is actually the boss's brother, and he did all of that of course for money and political power. So from that point on it's all about vengeance and bringing him to justice, and in short that's what this game's story is all about. Now, to review the story, I gotta say that it was really good. I actually loved it. I loved it more than first two games. In my opinion, Max Payne 3 has the best story in the entire trilogy. I really loved it. I really loved the voice actor for Max Payne. He really stepped it up in the third game with the performance. I especially fell in love with the character of Max Payne in the third game. In first two games, not so much, but the third game is just completely on the other level with the acting and everything, and I really loved it because Max in the third game is very depressive character. He is still grieving for his old life and wife and the child that he lost, and he really has a hard time moving on with his life, and in the third game he starts to drink a lot, and he's drinking a lot of painkillers and pills and all kind of stuff, and he's having that really hard time moving on, and performance and voice acting was so well done that you could really relate with that character, you could really understand him. And like there is something with his tone of voice and the things that he's saying through the game when he's talking about how he feels. It's so well explained and well acted and performed. I was just left speechless every time, you know. I absolutely loved the character, and I also really loved how he cared about saving boss's wife and how he connected with that family, how he was really trying hard to start a new life and try to find some happiness and occupy his mind with something to forget all that depression that he's running from. He actually came to that job, to that country, to run away from his old life and the things that he did, but in the end he ended up doing the exactly same thing, which is really fucking sad in my opinion. And how it was portrayed in the game, it's actually really depressive and sad, and entire game and character is like that, and all that is packed up with some very well done action, so it brings it up to the like whole new level and whole new meaning for the character and the story. I also really love the side characters, for example Passos, which is his friend that went with him to police academy, and he was the one who brought him to Sao Paulo and to Brazil to do that work. And for the moment, game makes you actually think that Passos might be a bad guy, but he actually turns out to be a good guy. Then there is this also side character called Giovanna. She's the only one from that family that survived, and she and Passos fell in love, and Max really cared about saving her and leaving her with Passos so they can go and live a happy life. And I really loved the story and the character. It left me speechless. So in my opinion, Max Payne 3 definitely has the best characters, the best performance, best story in the entire trilogy. I absolutely fucking loved it. Alright, beside great story writing, characters, voice acting and all that, this is just one of those games that has absolutely fucking sick, good looking gameplay. Now, first two games were really good back in their time. They were ahead of its time, and they had something new to offer in third-person shooter genre that no other game could. Now, Max Payne 3 is a game that came out in 2012, and now it's 2021, which means this game is 9 years old, which is actually quite a lot. It's a pretty old game now, and I can for sure say that no other third-person shooter will give you the same feeling as this game. Like, without a doubt, this is one of the best, if not even the best, third-person action shooter that I have ever played in my entire life. This game is just a masterpiece in every way. Gameplay, there is just something so satisfying and good about it that I don't even know where to start from. So they took everything from the first two games and just improved it so much. So first of all, you can see that game is obviously much newer and everything looks better, graphics and everything, but with that comes the newer technology that allowed developers to make all these cool things. So for the first time, Max Payne feels like something modern, fresh looking, and actually fucking good. And that's how it feels in the same time. They added some new features, like taking cover, for example. So in Max Payne 3 you can take cover and you can shoot from the cover. You can even blind fire your weapon, which I was really surprised to see. Like, I was like, that's a great detail. That's something really cool. And it's one of those third-person shooters where you, when you shoot a weapon, when you fire a weapon, you actually feel it. There is a lot of weapons in this game, so they added much more weapons in the third game, and each weapon feels different. I don't know how to explain it, but when you shoot it, you feel it. Each gun is different, but in the same time, all of these guns are so easy and simple to use, and the movement is so fluid and it's so unique in its own way. It's just so satisfying and fun. So once you figure out the controls for this game, that are, by the way, a bit sketchy and I had to customize them to be more natural to me, that's kind of downside that I didn't like about this game. The controls by default are just terrible, and my fingers just couldn't stand like that on a keyboard, so I had to switch it to something more natural to me. But once you catch up with the controls and realize a little bit how game is working, and once you learn all the controls, you feel like an absolute badass obliterating everyone on its way. So this game has, I like to say, a John Wick gameplay. If they ever make a John Wick game, this is a playstyle that would be perfect for that game. Honestly, this is how you feel while playing this game. Literally like a John Wick, just fucking headshotting everyone. There is still that slow motion, and you can trigger it anytime you want, just in previous two games. And you have that slow motion dodge dive, shoot dodge, or whatever you want to call it, where you throw yourself to some side in a slow-mo and you shoot your enemies. Now, of course, like I said, everything is more modern, fresh looking, and that means the gameplay is more fluid and you can easier score headshots, which was not really a case in first two games. But now it's completely fluid. Your bullet goes exactly where you aim for it, and it's so satisfying where you have rooms full of enemies and you just go into that slow motion and just aim for their heads and shoot them. And there are bullet cams just like in first two games, but this time they stepped up those bullet cams as well. They improved that. So now when you fire a weapon, and if it's a last kill, it's gonna be a bullet cam just in first two games, but only this time you can control that bullet cam. With the right click you can slow down the bullet, and with the left click you can keep shooting even if the bullet cam is going on and you hear your guy firing a weapon, and you follow all these bullets literally entering the opponent, and you can just see the bullet holes on the body and bullet ripping through your enemy. And if you have an automatic weapon or something like an AK or MP5 or whatever, and you just keep holding the left click and your guy will just dump the mag, and you can see all these bullets just entering the body and each one creates the bullet hole. It's so fucking brutal and satisfying to watch, and it fits so nicely with the all that action vibe and everything. And the effects in this game are really still fucking ahead of its time. Like, even though the game is 9 years old, I think there are some games that I mean, modern third-person shooters, most of them could totally learn from this game, because this is how you do effects properly in this game. Like blood splatter is so realistic in this game, especially like if you shoot your opponent in the head, you're gonna see the bullet hole on his head, and you can see the entry and exit wound, and entry wound is smaller than an exit wound, which is very realistic and how it is in real life. And not only that, but if the guy is not wearing a mask or anything, if he's bald or something, you're gonna see like a blood like pouring down from that bullet hole. And I was like, am I dreaming? Is this really an effect? And like, if you shoot the guy in the body, and you can see like the clothes getting dumped in blood, and you can see the blood spreading from the wound. Some of these details are so crazy. There are also cool things that you can do through the gameplay, for example like collecting those clues and golden gun parts. They're spread around the map, and you can find them, and you pick up these golden gun parts, and once you obtain all of them, your gun will switch to golden skin and you'll have more ammo in the magazine. And that's pretty cool. It's something to do besides just walking around and shooting bad guys. And each time you find a clue, you remind yourself that Max is actually a police officer, a detective, and that's what he was in first two games. And I really like how he comments things and those clues that he finds, and these golden gun parts are just fun to collect, and it looks cool, honestly. You can also go prawn in Max Payne 3. That is also something that I really liked, even though I almost never used it, but you will use it once you like shoot dodge and like throw yourself on the ground. Once you fall on the ground and slow motion is over, if you don't press any buttons, your guys will keep lying on the ground. And if you rotate your mouse around, the guy will rotate completely around his body like 360 while staying on the ground, which is crazy detail. I can't believe this game had that mechanic in 2012. First time I've seen that mechanic was in Ghost Recon Wildlands, which is much newer game than Max Payne 3. And then I was like, holy shit, this game had that in 2012? That's crazy. They also kept some old details from the previous two games, like real-time mirrors and magazines dropping on the ground. You can see like each weapon you reload, your guy's gonna drop the magazine on the ground. What I also loved in Max Payne 3 is how there are those slow motion moments. There are those big slow motion moments, and they're part of gameplay, and it's like an interactive cutscene where your guy jumps on a hook and just lowers it, or just he's doing something and there is a lot of enemies pointing guns at him, and he just triggers that big slow motion moment that gives you time to slowly shoot all the enemies and spill their brains out. It's so fucking satisfying, it's so fucking good looking. I just loved it. You still have to search for painkillers, which is the way you can heal in this game. They're not hard to find, and they're highlighted now with the green color around them, so they're more noticeable. And I really appreciated that the devs did that, because in first two games they were kinda sometimes hard to spot, and now they're just harder to miss. And what I like about painkillers is that once you heal with them, once you drink a painkiller, it heals you more than in first two games, which is also good, because even though it's a third game, it's still Max Payne game, and you're gonna get shot a lot, and it's just you have to heal very often. And I really appreciated that they buffed up the painkillers and they heal you more, so it's really nice. Also, another cool detail that I've noticed in Max Payne 3's environment destructions. So sometimes your enemies will hide behind some walls or something, and you can shoot them with the guns and just break the cover, just like in Battlefield. The walls will just fall off and break into pieces, and you can shoot your enemy easier. Or if the cover is soft, you can even shoot through the cover. Another great detail that I noticed is, like, if you're behind the cover and there is a glass in front of you and you want to aim through that glass, Max will first smash the glass with the gun and then aim through it. I was like, whoa, that's a crazy detail. I really loved that. It's so cool, and it's crazy, man. There is also melee in melee part of the combat in Max Payne 3, and you do it by just walking up to a guy and clicking the fire button, and Max will do some cool trick with his gun, like fucking punch the guy in the face with a buttstock, or if he's holding a pistol, he's gonna punch him in the face, push him a bit away, and then just point the gun, and then you have to actually click the left button to fire the weapon, and you'll get also a tiny little slow-mo moment for that. So shooting the guy in the eye at the point blank once you punch him in the face with a buttstock is so fucking satisfying. Like, oh my god, it's so good. I enjoy that so much. The action is like on a completely other level in this game. Then also what I liked is like realistic window destruction. Most games have windows or like glass shattering instantly once you shoot it, but not in Max Payne 3. Exactly where you fire your bullet, it will just go through the glass and it just shatters so realistically. Not entire glass breaks completely, and you can shoot around and just break piece by piece of a glass, and you can see all the pieces of glass falling on the ground and actually staying on the ground. This game has so many great fucking details. It's just crazy. I can't believe that I actually made this. Somebody actually paid so much attention to the realistic details that make this game so great. It's just crazy. The combat is so fluid, like I said. It's crazy. Once you actually play this game, you can go and replay it and know where enemies are gonna be, and it's so fun to replay levels. This is a game that you can play over and over again and not get bored. It's great, man. You can have so much fun, especially, like I said, when you learn the locations of the enemies and you just go in and just obliterate everyone without taking damage. It's so fluid, it's so great. Man, I wish more action shooters were like this. It's just so great, and I'm so ashamed that I didn't play this game before. I don't know why I didn't give my chance to play this game earlier. It's so good. Oh my god, it's so fucking good. I'm so happy to talk about this game and say so many amazing things about it. Like, holy shit, the gameplay is on another level completely. It's just something you really have to try out for yourself and actually see how great it is. Also, whoever composed the music for this game is an absolute fucking legend, because soundtracks in this game are just thing of a beauty. They're absolutely beautiful and I loved them. They also removed graphic novel way of telling a story in Max Payne 3 and replaced all that with cutscenes completely. So entire game is now in cutscenes like expected from a modern game. And the only thing that I was annoyed by in those cutscenes are those flashing like images, and they appear in every single cutscene and your screen is constantly like flashing and like video glitching. It's so freaking annoying. I don't know whose idea was that, but that's something that I kind of disliked about this game and it annoyed me. But like after I got used to it, it was okay, but until I got used to it, it was like wrecking my nerves all the time. I also forgot to mention that Max Payne 3 is the first game in Trilogy to have a multiplayer. Now, I personally didn't try it out, but I've seen some videos on internet and some multiplayer gameplays, and multiplayer is actually really fun in Max Payne 3. It's actually very well done and it has a really fun concept. You have different game modes. You can customize your character, you can customize your classes, and what's really interesting about multiplayer is that they kept slow motion. They implemented it into a multiplayer, and what I was interested in is like, how are they going to make a slow motion in multiplayer? Like, if you slow down for yourself, that means you have to slow down time for the other players. So they came up with a solution, and that is that only the players that are in your vision field, they get slowed down. Those who you don't see, the time doesn't slow for them. And I was like, whoa, they figured that out, like holy shit. And it's really fun. It's really fast-paced, oriented multiplayer, and it's really fun how you can do those things. They kept the slow motion in a multiplayer. They actually made something that was thought to be impossible to make. They actually made it and put it into a multiplayer. And holy shit, it's fun. Multiplayer is fun. Shooting other players is just fun. Running around. It feels like one of those old school third-person shooters where you would just run around rooms collecting ammo and guns, just shooting other players, competing who can get more kills. It's literally like that, just better looking and more fun, and it has an interesting concept behind it. Alright, for the end, as usual, let's talk about graphics and optimization of Max Payne 3. Now, like I said, this game came out 9 years ago, which was actually a long time ago. And to be honest, this game still looks fucking amazing. Like, when you max out all the graphical settings, it's stunning. It's still stunning 9 years later. This game has some graphical details that modern games that are even better looking than this one don't have. I remember there are like details like rain falling on Max's shirt, and you can see like getting wet, and you can see the little raindrops on his shirt, and you can see the sweat pouring down his face. And those are some of the craziest details that I've noticed in this game. And graphically in general, this game is really good looking, and it's still really stunning 9 years later. I loved it. I can't say that this game looks bad, because it doesn't. It looks really good, it feels really good, and I ran it on all ultra maxed out possible settings on 1080p resolution, and these are my PC specs. My GPU is RX 5600 XT GDDR6 6GB. My CPU is Ryzen 7 3700X 3.60 GHz. 8-core processor, and my RAM memory is 16 gigabytes DDR4 Kingston Fury. And that's it. Yeah, I absolutely obliterated this game at more than 100 frames on all maxed out settings, which is of course expected on a modern setup for such an old game, so it's nothing to really talk about that much. But in general, game was very well optimized. I never experienced any frame drops or anything. Everything ran smoothly. Sometimes I ran into some minor visual bugs where guns would be like flying in the air, or sometimes cutscene wouldn't trigger, and then I had to reload the checkpoint, and then it worked for some reason. And that's pretty much it. I didn't encounter any other major bugs or glitches that would break the game, and those that I encountered happened like few times through the entire gameplay, so it's something that I totally don't care about and I can go over. So in general, really well optimized game and really nice looking game even 9 years later. So yeah, I would totally recommend you to check out Max Payne 3, especially if you played first two games, and especially if you're a fan of third-person action shooters. This is a must play. This is a must of the must plays games in general, and in third-person shooter genre you just have to play this one if you're into those things. And yeah guys, if you enjoyed this game review, then go ahead and leave a like, share, comment, or subscribe if you want to. If you don't want to, you don't have to, it's totally okay. You can also join my Chris Facebook group. I post all kind of stuff over there. Link is down below in the description. So yeah, join if you want. If you don't want to, again, you don't have to, it's totally fine. I just want to say one big thank you guys for watching this video. I appreciate all of your support and everything you've done for me and my channel so far. You're amazing guys. I love you, and I'll definitely see you in the next videos. Chris out.